Yeah, I guess they would contact us if they were,
Well, they told us they were going to,
right,
and then they jumped right in on Greenwood High,
right,
which is the
okay,
last one of the projects
right,
that we've got going.
yeah,
And
okay.
it's kind of like, what are you guys doing up here?
Well, I saw a cherry picker. They had like the cones out, and I couldn't tell what they were doing.
All right, take a
And
picture.
they were about, I don't know, I want to say 5 or 6 houses west of the intersection. I don't know if that's where they're going to start taking it down or what, but it'd be nice.
It is 6:30, April 11, 2023. At this time, I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance will be given by 4th Ward Council Member Laura Dreyer Schlechte.
And that's why I came right now.
I know, you was right on time. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to say a few quotes. We are so sure we know what freedom is in America that we cannot imagine a world in which true freedom might come after sacrifice of personal rights. Freedom is sending your kids to school with confidence that they will come home at the end of the day. That's Taylor Schumann, author of When Thoughts and Prayers Aren't Enough. Why is it that giving guns is so easy, but giving books is so hard? Malala Yousafzai, I said her name wrong, I apologize. I do not accept that we cannot find a common sense way to preserve our traditions, including our basic Second Amendment freedoms and the rights of law-abiding gun owners, while at the same time reducing the gun violence that unleashes us so much mayhem on a regular basis. Barack Obama. There have been 146 shootings in 2023. So far, which was defined by the Gun Violence Act archives as an incident in which 1 of 4 victims are shot or killed. These mass shootings have led to 209 deaths and 563 injuries so far this year. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, if you would hit us with a roll call, please.
Mayor Daniel Mahoney,
Present.
Vice Mayor Arlene Robinson,
Present.
Councilmember Freddie Dancy,
Present.
Councilmember Angelita Gunn,
Present.
Councilmember Laura Dreyer Schlechte,
Here.
Councilmember Karen Bennell,
Here.
Councilmember Will Forgrave.
Here.
Thank you very much. All present and accounted for. Brings us down to item number 4, looking for a motion and support to adopt the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any additions, deletions, questions, comments, concerns about the agenda? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And agenda is carried unanimously. And boom, check the screen out, folks. And thank our clerk and city manager working so diligently to get diligent to work correctly and show us who voted for what. So it'll be displayed right on the screen. Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed. Okay, that brings us down to item number 5, presentations and proclamations. We have none. We have no public hearing today. Brings us to item number 7, citizens' comments. I'd like to start by reading the rules of citizen comment. Number 1, each speaker will state their name and address prior to addressing council. Number 2, each speaker is limited to up to 3 minutes. During the citizen comment portion of the meeting, council members will not debate or answer questions at this time. Number 3, each speaker should be polite and courteous to the council and members of the public in attendance. While any speaker is free to express his or her opinion on any subject, no speaker may direct personal attacks at any member of the staff or council unrelated to the manner in which they perform their duties, use obscene language while addressing the city council, or engage in disruptive or disorderly behavior during a council meeting. Number 4, should any speaker cause a breach of the peace through their conduct, the mayor may declare the speaker out of order. Number 5, if a speaker is declared out of order by the mayor and refuses to cease and desist from disruptive or disorderly conduct, the mayor may order the person removed from the meeting. Number 6, each speaker may speak once under public comment and may not yield their time to others. Mr. William Light. William, no last name on here.
What's the address?
1231 Highland.
That's me,
What's the last name?
Hastings.
Hastings.
So if you didn't realize that the city of Jackson's venture into being a homeless services provider, if you didn't realize that that was a fantasy based on cotton candy social justice dreams, all you need to do is look outside the front door of this building. So 3 weeks ago, several days after I pointed out the folly of the city's current homeless policy, I was driving downtown and I saw a homeless man standing right in front, and I mean right in front of the drop-off box in front of City Hall, shaking down an elderly woman, trying to leave a payment for the city. You know, the guys who pay for all you guys and pay for the building? Yeah, one of those nice people. He was young and tall and probably quite intimidating to her. He was an aggressive panhandler, the likes of which are defended in public policy by this city council. Just 2 people voted in favor of the measure to ban aggressive panhandling, that being Will Forgrave and Karen Bunnell. The rest of the council at that time spouted a bunch of social justice talking points. So make no mistake, this city does not represent an elderly woman trying to pay her water bill or taxes. This city is on the side, clearly, unmistakably, of aggressive, menacing, and abusive panhandlers who prey on law-abiding citizens and taxpayers. And there's an update. I was driving downtown today, right about 3:30, maybe 3:32, and he was back. He was back. 6 foot tall, standing right in front of your drop-off box to hassle people, the ones who pay the taxes and pay for everything, without whom this building would be vacant. So you can claim to be the guardian angels of downtown development, but this is just another way in which you throw small businessmen and women to the wolves. So why is this? I ask myself, why is this? Why is this the case? The reason this is the case is there are 2 classes of citizen in Jackson, Michigan. There are residents, taxpayers, and homeowners, like myself, who have been second-class citizens for some time now, and then there are the friends and family of the chummy little club that runs City Hall. This is the reason that our mayor operates multiple nonprofits while sitting in office, as does Mr. John Willis, who is paid quite a generous salary from the city. I would say to Mr. Willis and Mr. Mahoney, you must choose between either holding city office and running sketchy pay-for-play nonprofits. The rest of the city council must do the same and hold the feet of other members of city government to the fire. Thank you.
Mr. John C. King.
John King, 203 3rd Street here in the city. The initial con of residents in action with the city council is over. When asked about receipts again last city council meeting, RIA CEO Tasha Carter ended her presentation by saying that she would give everything to the fiduciary, washing her hands and that of RIA of any more accountability. As I expected with your approval of them to urinate every last penny away of nearly $200,000, they figured the best way to do that was to go to Walmart. I bet the last time before this that the Residents in Action Chief Operating Officer was in a Walmart with others in loaded carts. She was picking up yet another theft-related felony conviction 7 or so years ago. This may be equity to this council, but find another partner if the over $1 million you're applying for comes through. Regarding the resolution to move to even-year elections and the legal manner in which it was being done, the city attorney was asked for his opinion. Rather than speaking on any of the language in the statutes, he complimented the work of the city clerk and deferred to her for the legal opinion. This is the same city clerk who refuses to offer the slightest amount of aid to people regarding elections. Why would the city's attorney do this regarding the resolution pushed by Connor Wood? Well, why would the city attorney donate $250 to the Senate campaign of Connor Wood's wife? Because he wanted to see Jackson represented by the first bisexual individual in the Senate? No, of course not. As the top general on Team Doby's, Connor Wood ran the election commission with the city attorney and city clerk wanting to maintain their current jobs. When Connor Wood would ask them to jump, they would ask how high. That was true not just of the move to even-year elections, but the gerrymandering of the city wards. I see Connor Wood turn in his resignation, which makes sense because his work on behalf of Team Doby's is done, certainly until the 2030s. Nationally, there was the shooting at the Christian school within the last couple weeks. The shooter was a woman claiming to be a man. The mainstream left media and the political left have been trying to make out that it's transsexuals that are the victims. The shooting was followed up by what could be described as insurrections at state capitals, including Tennessee's. The white woman of the Tennessee Three, in order to save her position, mentioned the 2 young black community organizers expelled had been using bullhorns and other tactics she did not deploy. Then, after having her position saved by 1 vote, immediately mentioned to the 2 that took much more extreme tactics that it must be racist and that they're treated differently. All 3 should have expelled for their illegal behavior. Then there was the United States Vice President that went to Tennessee to do some consoling, not to the shooting victims' families, but to the insurrectionists.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Pathetic. Thank you.
Jacqueline Austin.
Hello, everybody. Jacqueline Austin, 760 Crescent. I just wanted to come and talk about the Hot Air Jubilee. It's on your consent calendar for approval, and I just wanted to give you a couple of quick updates. First of all, this is our 40th anniversary year. Yay, very exciting. And the second thing is that Jackson has been selected by the Balloon Federation of America to host the Women's Nationals competition this year, which means the week before our festival, we'll have the top 15 women pilots flying here in Jackson competing to go to the World's competition. It's a 1-year contract that's renewable up to 3 years. Very excited about it. My favorite thing right now is that we've already filled the slot. There were a total of 15 slots available, completely full, and we actually have 5 pilots on the waiting list in case anybody drops out, which is the most pilots they've ever had compete in the Women's Nationals competition. So, yay, Jackson. Just wanted to give you guys that update. Have a great evening.
Jennifer Bittinger.
Good evening, Jennifer Bittinger. Well, thank you, City Council, for allowing us to speak. It's been a few weeks, and I wanted to first off thank Shane Laporte for taking the time. After all, I've been griping about a lot of things. He was willing to meet with us, and I just wanted to thank him. He was very approachable and helpful. We didn't solve all the city's problems, but I did want to say that he was wonderful to talk with and helpful in answering a lot of our questions. So I just wanted to publicly thank him. I secondly wanted to let you all know that I don't know what your procedures are, but I have applied for an open position to serve on a city council board. I would like to make an appeal for you to approve my application in spite of I'm sure there's a lot of you that we have disagreements on some things, and some policies, but I believe there is a need for input from many conservatives in our city, and that I would like to be able to do that and serve in that fashion. I would be faithful in attending and diligent in working towards bettering Jackson. That is always been my goal, to do what's right and to do what I can to help better Jackson, my hometown. So I also, since I have a few more seconds, I did want to just make this comment since this was brought up. Guns aren't the problem. Wicked people with guns or other weapons are the problem. We need to stand against attempts to restrict gun ownership to people who are wise and safe and responsible with guns. And also support attempts to prosecute and deter evil and help those evil problems, not take away and restrict good gun ownership. Good people with guns help to stop, deter crime. So just wanted to make that public statement. Thank you.
Tom Crow-Gary.
Good evening, council and staff. My name is Tom Crow-Gary of 506 Union. I'm a veteran, a grandfather, a business owner, and a first-time home owner in the Flatiron District. Karen, I am your constituent. I used to be Wells. My house was purchased from Laura's colleague. I love my neighborhood. I love my neighborhood with all my heart, including the problem people, okay? The problem people meaning tenants that are not not held accountable for their actions, where the police departments are being called to their house time and time again. I feel like homeowners in the Flatiron District, the 5th Ward, formerly the 6th, are being held hostage. I get up every morning at 4 a.m. I am not home until 6 p.m. I work 6 days a week, much like you all. I get up very early. I can still hear yelling. I hear loud noises. We hear gunshots. There are a number of issues. The gentleman that will speak right here, sitting right here next to me, will tell you about his house being broken into 4 times, which is next door to me. That is unacceptable. We've given the police department, we've given you plenty of leads, we've given you video of numerous households that are in question. I now have 7 cameras, which is a little excessive. I shouldn't have to have 7 cameras on my house. And it's not to protect what I have. It's to help the police department and the city crack down on the crime. 7 cameras, seriously? Is that what we have to go to? I don't understand it. I'm not one that is a bobblehead and will bitch and gripe about the problems in this community. I love this community. I came from California. My husband is from Jackson. I came from the West Coast, giving this community a chance when other people said, oh, you don't want to go there. It's just a bunch of crap. I don't believe that. I don't believe it at all. I know Jackson is better. Mr. Mayor, I know Jackson is good, or I wouldn't live here. But the thing is, I'm not going to spend my tax dollars by being a resident here any longer. I'm going to move from city limits where at least we're heard. Thank you.
Jerry Montgomery.
I'm Gerald Montgomery, 341 Hill Street in Jackson, Michigan. Number 1 complaint is the city hauling trash. I got an increase in my bill of 25% from last year to this year. It went from $47 to $67. I think this is ridiculous. There's a beautiful presentation here 5 or 6 months ago, and you turned it down, Mayor. I think, yes, that's what you sent me in the email. Sure did. Number two, it should be brought back here to the city for the people to vote on, not just the crowd here. I give Lori copies of my bills, and it's pathetic. I'm a senior citizen, and they jumped 25%. Let's have a break. Thank you.
Lamont Turner.
My name's Lamont Turner, 912 2nd Street, Jackson, Army Combat Vet. Recently, my mom passed away 7 months ago, and the city of Jackson condemned her home. Well, after the second time they broke in, I managed to talk to the city and let me take the condemn sign down. Well, the thief's been back 4 times. The police won't do nothing. My neighbor helped me out, got a video. Okay, 5th Ward. Nothing's being done. Must the citizen do something? Oh, the gun rights. A citizen's got to have guns for people like this. Methamphetamine heads, drug addicts. The guy first talked about homeless people coming up to people. The guy came up to my car out here. I was eating my dinner. I said, go away, I'm packing. He walked away. He's smart. But what are you people going to do for me and other people in the neighborhood is getting broken into and stuff? I'm waiting on a DNA test. 6 months now from the State Police Crime Lab. Detective Sergeant Moser, City Police Department. Nothing. One guy was in the county jail that broke in. Hey, he got a video on. They're doing nothing. I'm waiting for him to squeal on his buddy so I can get them both. They stole thousands of dollars of my mother's money, okay? And the feeling is worse than getting raped on my end. So I'm getting screwed, and I don't like it. Thank you.
Peter Bormu.
Peter Bournemouth, 142 West Pearl Street. 2nd Ward. East Side.
Yeah.
We've heard this for a number of years now, ever since Freddie was first elected. And East Side, has there been any development on Michigan Avenue or Page Avenue? No. East Side, have your side streets been fixed the way Derek Doby's made sure his side streets on South Durand in that area were fixed when he was mayor? No. East Side, do we have a bicycle trail? No. East Side, do we have any community art sculptures? No. East Side, do we have a development authority that might help bring development to the East Side the way the MLK-CIA or the Downtown Development Authority here in the city act? No. East Side, what the hell has Freddie done for you? Nothing. Now, he does hold meetings, and I acknowledge that that's an important part of a council person's responsibility to see that the citizens are informed. And I understand from Freddie himself that we're going to have some, work done on the streets on the East Side in 2024. But seriously, people, you need better representation. Now, Freddie asked me if I was going to run against him. I hadn't even considered it. I hadn't even thought about it. The clerk just told me the deadline for petitions is the 25th. But I hope somebody is going to run because we need better representation on the East Side. I want to talk a little bit briefly about national politics. In Texas, federal judge Matthew Karsmark, a Trump appointee, issued a nationwide injunction that banned the abortion pill, citing an 1873 law called the Comstock Act. If you don't remember who Anthony Comstock was, he was someone who was supported by the YMCA, the Young Men's Christian Association, and he became Postmaster General and refused to allow any material sent through the postal mails that had to do with birth control, abortion, or pornography. We're back to 1873. People, take this in note. Thank you.
Peyton Louder.
Hi, my name is Peyton Louder. I'm a resident of Grandview Lane. Good evening, Jackson. Firstly, I'd like to thank you for your time and introduce myself. My name is Peyton Louder, and I'm the current Miss Jackson Crossroads, which is the local preliminary to Miss America. And I've spent almost my entire year of service local to our community. And with that, I've noticed so many extraordinary things that often stem from a problem or two. And because of this, there've been a lot of cause and effect. For example, the cause is how many of our city's children can't afford an outfit for their special school event. The effect is that the Creating Sparks group girls mentorship that I had the privilege of getting to work with right down at the King Center brought in over 25 formal dresses and evening gowns for free so that the girls could celebrate their special days while looking as good as they felt. At one point, the cause of fundraising for Jackson Public Schools somehow ended with the effect of me, sass and crown, soaking wet in a dunk tank. The city of Jackson is my hometown, and I'm simply here to play a small role in its improvement. Because of the Miss Jackson Crossroads Scholarship Program, I've paid off my entire first semester at Jackson College in an evening gown. And I had fun doing it. I've gained confidence, I can speak publicly, sort of, and have learned interview and professional development skills that I'm gonna carry with me for the rest of my life. But for right now, I'm gearing up for the Miss Michigan Scholarship Competition that's in June, where I'll be competing for over $25,000 in college scholarships. The Miss America organization is the largest scholarship provider for young women in the country, so why aren't more of Jackson's youth getting involved? This is where we circle back to the evening gowns that I started with, the flashiness of the tiaras and the outdated stereotypes that surround the pageant girls. So today, I'm here to shatter that stereotype that you might have previously had. And for the rest of my year, you can find me serving Jackson at every given opportunity, changing the way that our community sees pageant girls, and most importantly, how it sees serving and mentoring our youth. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes public comment, brings us down to item number 8, petitions and communication from city staff and other governmental entities. And we are on 8.1, looking for a motion and support for the City of Jackson, Michigan financial statement as of and for the 8 months ended February 28th, 2023.
So moved. Support.
It has been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Right. Carries unanimously. Brings us down to 8.2, Michigan Liquor Control Commission Acknowledgement Letter for Center Superior Liquor Incorporated.
So moved.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimous, brings us down to 8.3, looking for a motion and support to adopt the Environmental Commission minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimously. brings us down to our consent calendar, item number 9. Looking for a motion and support on the consent calendar.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any comments, questions, concerns on the consent calendar? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimous. We have no other business. That brings us down to new business. And on 11.1, we are looking for a motion and support for the resolution authorizing opioid class action participation, authorizing entry of participation agreements for national prescription opiate litigation, and entry of state, local government interstate agreement.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Carries unanimously. Brings us down to 11.2, looking for a motion of support for the professional service agreement for assessing services.
So moved. Excuse me, so moved. Second.
It's been moved and supported. Hearing no discussion on the item.
I just have a question that,
Oh, okay.
the
Go.
contract's exactly the same as the previous year? Jason?
Besides a 3%
Right.
increase, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And carries unanimously. Brings us down to 11.3, looking for a motion and support for the water treatment plant repaint and repairs. Change order number 1.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported, and this is a increase in the amount of $43,642. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion on this particular item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimously. Brings us down to 11.4. Looking for a motion and support on the change orders to incorporate the SLFRF uniform guidance language.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or discussion on this item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimous, brings us down to 11.5. Looking for a motion and support for the change order 3 to Miscellaneous Construction Contract with Bailey Excavating, an increase in the amount of $13,420.33 to balance the contract quantities to match the quantities placed in the field, and authorize city manager and the city engineer to execute the appropriate documents.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote.
Okay, what's going on here?
Carries unanimously, brings us down to 11.6. Looking for a motion of support to award a contract to Red Cedar Consulting for hazardous materials assessment and emergency asbestos assessment and abatement services on an as-need basis.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported.
Yes, I have a question. So, this is, 1-year deal, but it's up to 5 years, my understanding.
Yes.
So, I guess, so multiple year deals. So, they're the only one, or just,
This type of work,
come on, talk.
sorry, yes. This being highly specialized work is asbestos testing. There aren't many companies that do it, and we usually only get Red Cedar Consulting as a responsive bidder.
Yeah, I see that they have like, they bid is like, less than the next bid is like double, almost over double than what theirs is. So how do they do that?
I don't know how, but looking at some of these other companies, they are into different aspects, and I believe Red Cedar, generally speaking, focuses on this sort of testing. The other ones, I do know offhand, are environmental and engineering firms, so probably not in their wheelhouse, if I had to guess. But Red Cedar, as I understand them, and Shane can correct me if I'm wrong, generally focuses on this work. So they're masters of their trade.
Any other questions, Council?
Is this our, Mr. Mayor, sorry. This is our, what number are we in? We've used them before, is that correct?
Yes, we have. This is a brand-new contract.
Okay, so it's a
starting over.
brand-new
Yep, so-
5-year
Yep, we went out to bid, brand new,
Okay,
so new clock.
okay.
Okay, seeing or hearing no other questions, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And passes unanimously. Brings us down to 11.6. Looking for a motion and support for the change order 1 to the East Michigan Avenue lead service line replacement contract with Bailey's Excavating, and it is a decrease in the amount of $393,666 dollars and
Joking on that.
33 cents. I know. Why couldn't they find about 70 more cents to put on there? To even that out? That's my only question. But
There's a typo in there. It's Dunnigan on the bottom and it's Bailey at the top.
ooh,
So you might
thank
wanna-
you for recognizing that.
Be for done again.
Yeah.
Okay,
This was a contract with Dunnigan.
okay, thank you.
And that's 11.7, correct? Yeah.
That is 11.7.
Thank you. And I'll support it.
Okay. Somebody move it?
Second.
Okay, we'll count that as a second and a move. Okay, any discussion?
My question is, I mean, it's a good thing, don't get me wrong, but how could we be so far off?
That's a good question. That I'm gonna let John take the credit
Okay.
for.
East Michigan Avenue by the train station is probably one of the older parts of the city. The records of their water services and that aren't complete. So basically, what we did was threw in that we were gonna have to cut open every one of those services at the road all the way through. So we put quantities, basically, we threw the kitchen sink in there. We had everything in this thing. And then as we went and dug them up in the sidewalk to verify what it was from the water main to the water shutoff, we found that a lot of them were already copper. And so we did not have to dig all the way out in the road. We only had to go from the sidewalk back, which saved a lot of road cuts on Michigan Avenue. And so we had the quantities in there as if we had to dig up every one of them. We only had to dig up a fraction of those. And so that's where we saved a lot of the money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Passes unanimously. Brings us down to 11.8, looking for a motion and support for the change order 1 to the West Avenue water main replacement contract with, making sure this matches up, Bailey Excavating Incorporated. And this is another decrease in the amount of $148,920.87 to balance the contract quantities to match the quantities placed in the field and authorize the city manager and city engineer to execute the appropriate document.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Is this, I don't remember the original contract amount right off, but is this kind of the same situation here that we had less work?
This one, the original contract amount was 964,000, and so we're reducing it by 148,000 to lower it down to 815,000. So the other one was almost in half
I
what
know.
it reduced. This one is just a little more, probably about 15%, between 10 to 15%, this reduction is.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And passes unanimously, brings us down to 11.9. Looking for a motion and support for the revisions to the City of Jackson Purchasing Policy Manual.
Second.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item?
Yeah, I have a clarification in it. I gotta find it though. So if somebody else has something to say, go for it.
So I get, I do get the language to make it current. I was wondering about the thresholds, the dollar thresholds that changed in, around purchasing.
Do you know what page you're on?
Yeah, I apologize that I
11.
didn't make notes.
Page 11
Page 11?
went from 1,000 to 20,000.
Yeah, though, that's one example. Yep, so purchase of or contracts.
Just, that went up, the $1,000 number, I think we determined, John, correct me, John Willis, it'd probably been a holdover from the early 90s, so like, things have gotten more expensive, so we
Okay.
just kind of increased that number as well.
Okay, so because you were in there looking at language, you decided to bring those
Yeah,
thresholds current?
to a little
Okay.
more of real life.
Didn't we
Yep.
just change this a couple of years ago?
You change the amount that I can
Oh, as we
authorize,
should.
but
Like
yes.
50,000 or something.
So this kind of does the same thing.
Okay. My question, or my clarification is in 5.1, and I think it might be a couple other places. I'm at the very end of it, it says, upon lease, 3 competitive quotes and awarded to lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And then it added, after a review of the bidder's DBE, MBE, or WBE status. I think it should be clarified, like, what are they reviewing? If they review and find out that a DBE, et cetera, has applied, are they more eligible for the bid, or, like, it's kind of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So
I'm-
I don't know if you want to make that clear now, or what?
I don't, we talked about this earlier, I'm glad you brought it up. The language is in there, and we can, if it's passed tonight, which I hope you do, we can work at cleaning it up, but it's to make sure that someone is who they say they are. That, yes, we received 3 competitive quotes, awarded the lowest responsible bidder, then let's make sure, before we do that, make sure they are an actual minority business enterprise, women business enterprise, and et cetera, like that. So just that, maybe review should be verification or verify. So we don't have like a shell entity acting as if they are something they aren't.
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, if you could just clarify that, I think that would be important, because the way I was reading it was, even though you might be the lowest bidder, if you fall into one of those categories, you might be more eligible for the contract, despite not being the lowest bidder.
okay, how would you like to proceed?
No,
then?
you can clean up however
Okay.
it makes sense. Your intention, I'm just telling you that was my concern and why it was my concern.
John, was I off base on that?
No, sir.
seem to
It was just,
remember
the
that.
intent was not to change, to make them more or less qualified. But once we identify them as a bidder that is DBA, MBA, or WG, then we can verify that status.
Maybe it's a separate paragraph.
Maybe,
Maybe it's 5.2.
maybe I actually think we could do something like based upon at least 3 competitive quotes and verification of the bidder's DBE, MBE, or WBE status awarded to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. I'm kind of shifting it up and changing review to verification.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
That's, because that's what we're going
Yep.
for. And
Yep.
as I complimented Councilmember Schlechte, we're so close to this, we know what we're saying.
Yes.
So it was
of
good to
course.
get some different eyes on it.
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I was reviewing this admittedly a little bit last minute over the last couple of days. I reached out to the city's purchasing department, who's going to be responsible for doing what we're laying out here. If we do ultimately decide to move forward with it. And it's my understanding that they haven't been left out of this process, but at least haven't seen it, haven't seen this draft that's before us now. And these are going to be the individuals that, again, carry this out. So I had some questions for them. They couldn't answer them. I was wondering if we could table this until the next meeting so we have more time to discuss with them what they think about it.
I am ultimately the purchaser. I am comfortable with this, and I appreciate the frank and honest. I appreciate the words that you were given. I disagree with them completely.
Is there a urgency? Would it be that difficult to wait till the next meeting?
You guys can get to do whatever you want to do.
I get that, but I don't know if there's,
I'll
I mean,
move to table this item until the next meeting in April. Is it April?
yeah.
I'll
support
that. 2 weeks, yeah, 20, whatever.
And then what's going to happen in the meantime?
Yeah,
to
that's what I
make
want to
sure
know.
that-
Like, what
The-
if ultimately
make sure that
Jonathan is
we're-
like,
I think it's respectful if we have a department head that does the purchasing.
Not a department head.
Well, I'm sorry. Someone in that department that does this to make sure that that there's something that that their eyes on it, they work with it all day long. Respectfully, Jonathan is the ultimate, but ultimately, we are the ultimate, right?
The ultimate.
We're the ultimate. But I mean,
The
isn't
ultimate
that just, if we made a policy in your department and you didn't have your eyes on it, wouldn't you be, yeah, I mean, if you work in and out of it all day long, you'd probably want your opinion
so I guess,
given.
just for clarification, because Jonathan is saying he disagrees, just for clarification, I guess what I'm curious of, the questions that were they asked to the director of purchasing, or were they just asked to someone in purchasing? Has purchasing seen this? What is their understanding of this currently?
It's my understanding that, so that it's one and the same. It's one person.
Okay.
In purchasing. And I reached out to that individual and spoke with them, and it's my understanding that they are more than willing, just like 2 years ago when we changed the person's purchasing policy and some of our things, that they would be willing to carry out those, but they couldn't answer exactly what those were. They don't know what's going to be required of them if this were to pass. I think reaching out to them and making that clear and getting their input would be helpful.
Any input from you, Jonathan, on that, or even John on the process to us get into this point?
I encourage you to do what you feel is right as city council members, from my perspective, in 2 weeks, unless something drastic that I cannot see or anticipate happens, you will be getting the exact same purchasing policy that's presented here tonight, minus the on-the-fly edit we made to 5.1.
You might have to make that at 6.2D also.
Can
But
do.
I'm not reading it in its entirety in my head, so you'll have to read it.
But I'm not here to stand in your guys' way, just want to
Well,
make
if
sure.
there's not an emergency, I would be inclined to table, I would be inclined to vote yes on the tabling.
So I would agree with that. And then just to clarify my comments, what I'm asking is what will be done to make sure that that person is there a sit down? Is there a meeting? Is there a?
Yeah, I'll get to take
Okay.
care of that.
Okay.
Can I ask for just a small amendment, if you will, instead of tabling it? Can we just vote to postpone it?
Yeah.
Instead of a formal table?
Yeah, that's
That
fine.
would just
I'm
make
okay
it
with that
easier.
amendment.
That'll just make it easier for us to move it to the next agenda, and expect it to come back. I personally, if there's nothing going to change, and all we're asking is that, clarification be given, I don't understand what the difference would be, and the clarification that would need to be given once the policy is passed anyway. But I understand, so, we do got a motion on the table, so, and that friendly amendment accepted by the, okay.
Yes,
So it's to
can I
postpone.
say something?
Yes, sir.
So, I guess I'm having a hard time understanding why we want to even postpone the table this, because, we make decisions, it goes to department heads. Everybody in department heads don't look at what we make, when we make changes. Everybody don't have an opportunity to look and see what the changes are. They get the changes, then they work with it. That's their job. They work with what the council to have them to do. So I don't understand why this one, we have to table it, go back and talk about it. Yes, it's an urgency. There's an urgency for this, because this is something that has been an issue for decades. So that's the urgency. It's the urgency of an opportunity. So we have an opportunity to be involved in the purchasing and the decision-making. So that's the urgency to it. Changing it, moving it to next meeting, I totally disagree. Staff deal with what we do, what we vote on. The staff don't have, the people, they don't have time to look at it, and they get it, and they adapt, and they just do it. So I don't understand what's so different with this one. I don't see nothing. What is so different?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
to answer that, I guess I've rarely reached out to department heads or people in departments with these kind of questions and gotten the answer back that they don't know what we're talking about. Right? Like, they know, they knew that this was on the agenda, but they do not know exactly the changes that are gonna be coming across their desk if this were to pass, and that rarely has happened in the 4 years that I have spoken with staff about some of the changes that do come before us. So that's the thing that would be different in this case.
So
for me.
And I would,
Sorry, I want to let you finish.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, I was just going to ask Jonathan, is there any input that you have on that staff person's understanding of what's trying to be accomplished in this policy memo?
I'm hearing of any concerns, so I'm a little apprehensive to speak, but I do know that John worked on this, David Hamilton worked on this, Racial Equity Commission worked on this, and I'm pretty darn sure our purchasing agent was included in emails and meetings as well.
Is that,
So-
that's accurate, Mr. Willis?
Listen, we went to purchasing first as we started, as we got to working with the purchasing. What we had, there was some suggestions made, there was also a suggestion made that we went to Michelle Post, who does work with purchasing, get her suggestions, took all those suggestions in together with consideration to get the final product that we have tonight.
That was, we got everything we need from purchasing, from what we want to do, and how we going to make some changes. So, I don't sit down and talk with purchasing. It's more work, maybe some extra work has to be done, but when we did the contractor thing, there's more work, extra work has to be done. So, I don't know, I'm just having no.
well, I would think this would fall right in with the extreme ownership program and giving that staff person the opportunity to own this. So,
Not disagree, that's exactly why I said you guys are free to vote how you want to vote, and tomorrow we'll get to decide, talk
Using
through things.
Using your own stuff against you now.
That's, no, that's totally fine. I think she's on point, but,
Well,
I've
it's
said,
really
I've
changing
pretty much said all I can
language.
say.
It's not really changing process. So we're still free to move ahead with the same intent with any contracts that come forward in the next 2 weeks. And it's just a matter of, you want to have staff that are on board. And, as a nonprofit executive, I have to work extra hard to make sure that people are with me when I change any policy, so.
I mean, I totally agree and totally understand. However, in this case, you've heard from the city manager, you've heard from staff that that individual was included. And again, nothing's going to change in the next 2 weeks in the document that's before us, except just a delay, I guess, to get the comfort of the employee.
Well, we'll get
So
some
I
more
don't-
context. from
Say that
that.
again?
We'll get some more context from that employee and the
So,
Councilwoman
so when you
Dunn's
say
point-
we'll get more context, I guess I'm looking for more clarification on what needs to be done over the next 2 weeks on this particular item.
So, whatever. Sorry, you talk.
I'd like to get to a place where I can contact that employee again and they can say, I know exactly what's gonna happen and this is what I think about it. I don't know if that'll change my vote one way or another, but that's where I'd like to be.
and what if that purchasing, that employee, whether it's this or any other policy, has something else that they think needs to be changed in it, and if we're already changing it, now is as good a time, if it's a good change, to change it, as opposed to constantly bringing stuff back and forth.
Again, the staff person who brought this forward and our city manager is saying that that staff person that you guys want this to, like, get approval from has already had opportunity to be included in the meetings for their approval on what's being changed. That's the part that I'm hung up on. If it was like if everybody's saying, oh, we kind of skipped over that, no, that we didn't take that step does need to be taken. But I don't think that's what's being said, not by our city manager, not by Mr. Willis. In this case, that's not, so that person's lack of understanding will probably come from the city manager with some assistance from John on understanding what changes in the context thereof to be implemented after this change happens. But I guess if nothing in the document itself is going to change, if there are additional suggestions, just like this was brought forth, those additional suggestions could also be brought forth in the future instead of us delaying this because someone feels like they don't understand, I guess. But we've got 2 staff people who said that they were included in the process.
I think Will should clarify whether or not the person said they didn't understand or they just didn't know about
Or
the-
didn't know, either
Okay,
either
Well, I
way.
think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I had some questions for this individual and they couldn't answer them because what they relayed to me is that they hadn't seen the final draft that was before us tonight. Is the way I understood it. Now, this was earlier today, but again, some time to talk to this individual and see. I mean, again,
Well, I mean, we got a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
fine
we
with,
do.
we have a motion on the floor.
and to be
I just
clear,
want to at least be able to get some dialogue so I could understand
yeah.
what the hesitancy was.
To be clear, I try to do my due diligence with these things. I do talk to staff, and there are times when they may not like something we do, but I still do it anyway. But I like to get their input before we do these things, and I like them to be informed of them.
So it wasn't that they hadn't seen a draft, it was that they're saying they didn't see this particular final draft.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Sure, I had some
Okay.
questions that they couldn't answer about it, and I think highlighted some of the bigger changes that were proposed.
Okay. So the motion on the floor, so everybody is on the same page, is to postpone for 2 weeks until the next meeting. Okay,
And in the
clerk will
meantime,
tally and
that
display the
person will
vote.
be involved somehow.
Motion is carried, 5-2. And that brings us down to item number 12. Looking for a motion and support to conduct a closed session pursuant to MCL 15.2681C in order to update city council on IAFF labor negotiations.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Okay, carries unanimous. We shall return. Before they hear our comments.
Perfect time to like leave a lot of, like do some really long comments.
It is.
This is when you do the quick ones, because there's no one else to stick around. And you can let them. Okay.
You can leave, just make sure everyone sees you.
No.
That's Coyne, he's the DDA director.
Coyne, do you have cards yet?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Make sure I get you one.
Yeah, he don't pay him enough.
I got some
Messed
ones
up.
with my name on it still, I'll give those to you.
Yeah, Corey's got a bunch of that. Corey would a great predecessor. And I'll give his card.
I got one of his cards already.
Corey and Coyne are so close.
Right?
I still have his DDA director card. Yeah, I don't need another one.
Guaranteed to be the best DDA director since 2022.
Well, you know what? I'm fortunate to be here. I'm proud to be here. I'm Jacksonian, born and raised. I live and die here.
Right
So
on.
my wife to Port Kingsford on my grave and light.
Right on.
And that's why you're the DDA
Stories
director.
here growing up with my family and my boys, so I'm glad not only can make a living here now, but I can give back.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you for all the
that's my
support you got me back here. And what a board, Jackie. I feel supported. So,
Well, welcome.
Just like right here. Best of luck to you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
You can really tell me what Jonathan says about me.
Okay, we will.
Support.
All right. Can we just do a voice vote on that, or you want to do a? Say it again. Okay, we'll just do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Okay, motion passes unanimously. We are back in session.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a very long motion to approve the following changes to the IAFF City Collective Bargaining Agreement, including a 3% increase to pay, Tier 1 pay, effective March 1st, 2023, a 3% increase to Tier 1 pay, effective July 1st, 2023, and a $1,250 lump sum signing bonus effective upon the signing of the agreement.
I'll support that.
It's been moved and supported.
Does that work? That's a lot there.
Is a lot.
Yeah.
Get ready to text the union.
I know, I did it again. I forgot I got a vote.
Can you?
First day on city
can she
council.
I
do a
guess.
thumbs
Gee,
up
I'm not
for
used
you
to these
and click
computers.
her in?
I'm used to this button here. I can turn it back on.
Okay, we are gonna do a roll call vote.
Oh, thank you. Just like that. God.
Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilmember Dancy,
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn,
Yes.
Councilmember Schlechte,
Yes.
Councilmember Bennell,
Yes.
Councilmember Forgrave.
Yes.
Okay, passes unanimous. Brings us down to council member comments. Councilmember Laura Schlechte.
Let's see what I have. Are we doing anything? Is there anything we can do about the panhandling? I do know who he's talking about. I've given the gentleman rides home. So I'm not 100% sure he's homeless by the definition, but, is there anything that we are or can do about, when it's aggressive behavior? I think we can, right?
We continue to offer services and work with our partners to move people along. Unfortunately, there are individuals who just don't gravitate to those things.
Right, yeah, there was, this person actually came to one of my buildings and I called TTI while he was sitting there and did not avail himself of the options that were available, so I don't know. And then, so I know that we're doing cleanup day for, the CIA corridor, and, the Fifth Ward is doing one on May 6th. Did you get a chance to talk with Mike Osborne to figure out if we're gonna do something for the whole city, or?
I was actually playing it by ear with the Fifth Ward doing it and what we're doing on the CIA to see if council members wanted to work with local neighborhood leaders to do them in the wards again. We've done them central located, we've done them in the wards. I'm happy to do either. They cost a little bit more to have more, but the results of it, I mean, you can't find anything bad about cleaning up the city, so I don't have any issues spending a little more money to help clean people up and put dumpsters and help where people near where they live. So
you're looking for feedback?
looking for feedback and looking for people, guys to step up and say like, hey, I want to do this on this day, and here's a community partner who's going to help with volunteers and whatnot, because it is pretty taxing on our public works. We have to bring in 6 to 8 people just to handle dumpsters, trucks, and loaders. So helping out with people getting stuff out of their car or helping them lift stuff up into a dumpster would be helpful. So open to anything.
And when we did do this in the past, even if it was for Ward 6, it wasn't just for Ward 6 residents, it was for the city as a whole, right?
No one's turning anybody
you
away.
can't-
Unless we know you don't live in the city.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but the way that but the way that I'm hearing Mayor Mahoney talk about MLK, it's like really intense and very, like, he makes me want to get my tractor and the grappling arms to come and get fencing and all that. So it seems what he's got planned is far more intense than Ward 6
Yeah,
having a
the-
dumpster sitting there and we can all.
It's a
take our
little
stuff
different.
there.
The Community Development Department, working with John Willis from the MLK as staff representative, have identified city-owned properties that we'd like to clean up, take some really old dead trees out. We've identified some on private property. And it really started by thinking about removing a lot of the fencing that's around there that just traps trash and looks ugly. That's really what it started. So that's why it seems more robust, because it is. It's just as a different vision for it.
Yeah, and the gal in the Fifth Ward is just I'm really proud of her.
Yeah.
She's really going to town to get volunteers and stuff. She's putting a lot of effort into it, so kudos to her. But, all right, so we'll get you ideas.
Yeah. If you say, hey, call this person, they're interested, we'll reach out, we'll help coordinate. We do a lot.
For, just to add for Ward 2, I do have 2 individuals who have like hauling services who were interested in helping in something in Ward 2.
We just thought about doing maybe,
Oh,
we
joint.
got that B2 Watchers. and put
We've helped
something out
B2
there.
Watchers out before.
Yeah, and see if they want to do something combined and maybe look at either Nixon or Northeast as a place to put dumpsters.
We'll round that out with you then.
Okay.
And we'll, actually, if they've been talking about it, we have contacts at B2 Watchers, so we'll reach out and say, hey, let's talk
Okay.
about this.
Okay. I don't know that they've been talking about it yet,
Okay.
but we were thinking we could put it out there
Yeah.
and see if anyone's interested, so,
I think the last one they did was pre-pandemic.
okay.
So.
Jonathan, I know, so Christy is the woman that's in Fifth Ward that's been working on the cleanup day for Fifth Ward on May 6th. I know she's worked with, the DDA department on that. I don't know how far she's gotten. I haven't talked to her in a little bit. She texted me when we were in the meeting. But, I don't know in terms of any additional resources that she's lacking in. So would you want me to have her reach out to you? Or
Well, they need dumps. She needs
Mike
somebody to
Osborne.
dump.
Mike Osborne?
Yep.
Okay. I'll just-
Always CC me, but, so I can keep tabs on it. but,
Yeah. Okay.
And then
I'll
if
just,
that's the first Saturday of the month, it would also be wise to look at Recycle Jackson. 'Cause
Okay.
they're only open on, like, I believe the first Saturday of the month.
mhm,
And they're, used to be the only ones around to paint.
okay. Cool.
If they operate. I haven't interfaced with them in a while either.
That's all I have.
Okay. I thought she
Kinda
took,
bounced
had
around.
took over for her
He
comment.
stalled everybody.
Okay, that's no other comments from you, Councilman Bonell?
Believe it or not.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it pretty short, I think, just because there's so much going on in my head that I can't keep it all straight. But I know, I'm sure a lot of you and a lot of our constituents have been watching what's going on at the national level and the federal level, politically. Frankly, it's a dumpster fire, in my opinion, of everything that's going on, and it's all in my brain, so keeping it straight is hard. I think it's just, if when we have moments that when we get overwhelmed by how frustrating other states' politics are, we just have to like decompress at the end of the day like I do and find ways to just kind of flush that out of our system, just because it's stressful what's going on politically and thankfully not much of it is affecting Michigan yet. I know that Peter Bormuth referenced what's going on with the case in Texas. I know that there's a case in Washington that hopefully is going to circumvent that from affecting Michigan with the ban of mifepristone. But there's just so much going on that it's just ridiculous, and I do have concerns for the future of the United States and Michigan in general, but I'm not gonna go too crazy because I could just ramble on and on because it's just a lot. But it's been rough seeing what's going on, and I'm sure a lot of us here can echo that statement. But I think we just have to kind of find moments that bring us joy to like cancel out the garbage that's going on in other states. That's it for me.
Okay. Councilman Ford Graves.
Nothing for me.
Vice Mayor.
No comments. I do want to, just thank the staff, I'm sorry, for all they do for us as council members. And then Ria's event at St. John's, that was on point, and there was a lot of people there. Didn't get to stay as long as I would have liked to, but it was very nice. So, and I see quite a few people left with bags of things that they were in need of. So, thank you.
East Side.
East side. I can't say that. I'm gonna get jumped on for some east side. But just to piggyback off that, I went to at the end of the event with the homeless day of what is it? Yeah, I went to that one, and it's just amazing. I think my understanding is a lot of people got help. There's a lot of organizations there. When people come together, there's a lot of great things can happen. So. Hats off to Rhea and all the organizations who showed up and who was able to do things, state of Michigan, just so many. I mean, so many. There was like 30, 40, 46, that's what I said. And it was just amazing all the work that was going on, so I appreciate that. It's a lot going on, a lot of great things going on. So I turned my names in. but I'm short. I think I'm short because someone just don't like me. That's the only reason I think I'm short. So that's okay. We'll see. We'll see. We have to recount them, I guess. But, we got Mr. Mayor there. I think the mayor lives in the second ward, so I need a signature before I leave. I shouldn't say that online, but I will. But, yeah, but again, the staff, I thank staff, everything that's going on. I appreciate everything that's happening. This morning I had a meeting with a developer, and we was talking about some different things, but mainly we was talking about access for all, zero entrance for people with chairs, wheelchairs, walkers and things like that. So it went pretty good. We can't make him do anything, but he had a lot of ideas that can help out, so appreciate that. Other than that, I hope everyone had a great weekend, Easter weekend. Look forward to the next meeting. Man, the purchasing policy is something that I don't know. I guess I can take ownership or not, but I've been bugging. First it was Birch about it. I just didn't think it was fair and how it was going for black-owned or minority-owned, women-owned businesses or other businesses in the city to get a fair shot at purchasing. So it's just something complained about, whining about, I guess, but feel good about this policy. I feel good that the hard work that went in, Mr. David, Dr. David back there in the back, did some great things. We had great help from the staff. We even have a lot of input from purchasing. But I'm happy with the final outcome. Probably do some more tweaking on the road, but that's what the Racial Equity Commission is for, to look at policies within the city. And that's the first one we've done. We have some more we're going to be looking at. There's going to be more to come, but I'm happy with what the outcome has been. And hopefully the next meeting we can get all the questions answered and move forward with that. Thank you. Happy birthday. Have a good night.
Councilmember Gunn.
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Got just a couple short comments. April 21st, 8 a.m. at Jackson College is the Summit to Reduce Violence. I would love for some of our guests who had some high concerns about violence in the community and the drug deals and other complaints that they had about issues in the community that we all live in. I would love to hear some solution-based conversations with them at this summit to reduce violence. Again, that's next Friday, 8 a.m. It is free. Just costs you some time to be there at Jackson College at 8 a.m. The 21st. That is not this coming Friday, but next Friday at Jackson College. It starts at 8 a.m. And I hope to see all the council there as well. My friend, Mr. Hastings, you don't ever stick around to hear the comments at the end. Please start sticking around to hear the comments at the end. I do not operate multiple nonprofits. Again, if you are going to come talk about the personal business that I do outside of council, please come with your facts correct. Do not come with your fake news. I operate one nonprofit. Somebody please get the message to them. Thank you to Miss Jackson Crossroads for being a beacon of light in our community. And I can see the spirit upon you to be the next Miss America. I think you got it in you. You are a great representative of the types of people who our community produce. Congratulations to Jackie on the 40th Balloon Hot Air Jubilee. Don't get no bright ideas of asking me to get in one, because it's not happening. Oh, that's great.
For someone else, right?
From what I hear, if they're asking the mayor, they're going to need somebody to do it. So I'm going to be like, you know what?
Jackie's afraid of
Councilmember
heights, and
Angelita
she's
Gunn
been
said
in
it's
it.
fun.
I'm
afraid of heights and I've been.
So let me tell you what happens that brings me back to reality. When I start getting the inkling of a thought of doing something I ain't got no business doing, I end up scrolling on Facebook for a little bit too long and seeing a video of a balloon getting blown somewhere it didn't have no business being. And that quickly changed my mind. It's not happening, okay? I'm gonna stay on the ground. I'll be ground support, for sure. Man, I thank all of you guys for the service that we provide. It's it's a thankless job most days, but I appreciate those who appreciate the job that we do, because those far and few in between individuals who actually thank us for the work that we do is what helps keep most of us motivated to come back and continue to serve. And I don't think anybody up here takes the work lightly. I do agree with the sentiment of Councilman Dancy on the policy. And again, I think the main thing for me is like we have two highly credible staff people who were assuring us that the staff person who had no answers had been included in the process, and then in between our closed session, we were provided the concrete proof that they did in fact also were included and received that final document. And I just think that we have to trust those individuals who we have sitting in this room with us. If nothing was going to be changed about that document, which from what our discussion was, it wasn't about changing what was in it. It was about making sure that that individual was included. But not one, but two individuals confirmed for us that individual was concluded, and then we still voted to postpone it. So to me, that means that we're questioning their validity and taking their word in vain. Like, we're not trusting their word. And I think that we have to trust their word because it has been a long time coming. And that 2-week postponement is, I don't think it was necessary in this case. But again, like, one thing that I truly believe is that as an elected official, the one right that you have above all is to be able to vote however you want to, right? Vote your conscience. That's the first thing that somebody told me, is to vote your conscience, right? Do whatever make sure that you feel like you walked away doing the best job that you could do. And I'm not questioning that you did that, because again, we want to just make sure everybody's doing their due diligence. But we did have two individuals confirm for us that individual who had no information, in fact, did have information. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Man, I had one other thing that I wanted to just clear up. Oh, here he goes. Mr. Montgomery, you ran out before comment also. I did not turn down the presentation that was provided by our Environmental Commission. In fact, it is the total opposite. I am the one who asked the Environmental Commission to come and give the presentation, but there was no action to be taken at that meeting. I do agree that the increases that we are seeing in solid waste removal are getting far out of control, and I do agree that something needs to be done. But again, I just want us to make sure that we got our facts straight. That's it. That are all of my comments, Mr. City Manager.
Just 2 items of note tonight about staff. I must apologize. I didn't remember to do this last meeting, but I wanted to congratulate Ryan Hendricks from the fire department, who's recently promoted to captain, our newest promotion to captain there. So congratulations, Ryan. And then also congratulations to Mr. Coyne Spicer, the newly hired Downtown Development Authority Director, who is here for a little while tonight, and I know he's going to do tremendous things for the DDA, which actually goes down East Michigan Avenue near the hospital. And he's the man who's going to finally get some action going down there. It's where I failed, so he's the one. So those two items, that's all. Yeah. Every day, too.
You are mind readers. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.